1, 2, 3. Idemo napred.
Artlist.io.
Zdravo, moje ime je Daljan i dobrodošli u moj novi podcast.
Music licensing reimagined. Artlist.io.
Zdravo, moje ime je Daljan i dobrodošli na moj YouTube kanal i na moj podcast emisije Posao jezike i istorija, a danas je četvrtak, 7. april 2022. godina, a ovo je moj prijatelj Petar Ruzevic. Kako si?
Hvala prijatelju moj, evo odlično sam, upravo sam završio biznes razgovor i ide sve bolje i bolje, mogu da ti kažem. I ham biznes i ovaj Amazon biznes.
Dobro.
And even our podcast shows are getting better and better. So Luke just informed me about the advantages we're having in the upcoming shows, and you and I are getting pretty good. So we're getting more and more subscribes and more attention from our audience. So it's kind of widening.
Da, mi smo veoma dobro.
Mi smo veoma dobro. Evo vidim i ti si odlično, jedeš bananu,
Da.
piješ mleko i sediš ispod palme. But you're sitting beneath a palm tree right now.
Yeah.
You're on the Florida South Beach.
Yeah.
Yeah, nearby Fort Lauderdale, let's say.
Right.
So in the vicinity, surrounded by gators. That's great.
Okay. Evo prvi pitanje. Hajde da pričamo Maria Osric and her involvement or her important role in Hitler's fascist Germany in the 1930s and during World War II. And the development of the nuclear weapons, nuklearni uređenje.
No problem, my friend. It's over here. Okay, može naravno. Čekaj samo da vidim šta je sa ovim. Just let me check it out. What's happening with the
rat između Rusije i Ukrajina.
Pa znaš šta, Ukrajinci su svojevremeno izrazili želju da naprave nuklearni program i pošto su već pametni dovoljno da naprave tako nešto, onda su Ruski u stvari odlučili šta? Pa da to stopiraju blagovremeno. Kad pogledaš Zelenski, Volodymyr Zelensky as a Khazar. And,
on je Jevrene, a Jew. He's a Jew.
He's a Khazar, as a matter of fact.
Jewish Khazar.
As we've previously said in our earlier shows, the Khazars have infiltrated their own man into every government, mostly European ones. So
evropski.
And that's a program. It's a normal program that the Khazars are following in order to obtain and achieve their own goals.
Mhm.
So, and on a larger scale, that's a logical continuation of the mutual warfares between the civilizations, as we said, the Hyperboreans and the Lemurian civilization, and because China is also involved, and the civilization of Atlantis.
Da. Kinje je prijatelj se Rusija. Takom sada i takom hladni rat.
Pa Kina i Rusija zapravo su jedna država, jer granica koju je grof Sava Vladislavić, to će biti tema za neki drugi show, napravili tamo 1764. ne postoji. Evo, možemo da odemo i da vidimo da te granice nema. Znači da granice između Sibira i Mandžurije ne postoji, i onaj mali džep ruski između Kazahstana i Mongolije, to isto ne postoji. To je jedna država. Spomenik Marksa u Pekingu, Karl Marx monument in the middle of Beijing, and ain't there for being.
Ali takom 1960. godine Kinje i Sovjetski savez će biti neprijatelji. They became enemies in the 60s because China refused to give nuclear secrets. Oh no, actually it's the other way around. Soviet Union refused to give China nuclear secrets, and that's how they became enemies.
That's correct. There was a brief warfare between the Soviet Union and China over the 60s, I guess, or late 50s. That was the period of the Cold War, anyway. But it has passed in the meanwhile, because practically they two large states function as one single. It's even the number. Even the number of the military staff members, the pedestrians, the soldiers, the land marching soldiers, the Marine Corps, as we define it in America, even that amount as strictly and solely, and in this case, it comes up to Russia's advantage, because not even the whole NATO alliance does not have enough amount of pedestrian soldiers like Russia has, right?
Yeah.
So the number of Russian pedestrian soldiers, the land marching corps, is incomparably much bigger than the number of soldiers in the NATO alliance. So the continuation of mutual warfare of the three civilizations, namely Hyperboreans and Atlanta civilization and the Lemurian civilization, can exclusively be done, with Russia as a winner, after that combat. So this is, as we've previously concluded, that's an agreement, a mutual agreement about a peaceful division, peaceful dividing of Ukrainian territory. We already know the further capital of the new Ukrainian state. It will be Lviv.
Lviv.
Will be. I've been there. I've been in Lviv. Together with my friend Michael Rick. I've been there. Yeah.
Ali glavni grad Ukrajini je Kijev. No,
Kijev, još uvek je, ali ja ti govorim o novoj ukrajinskoj državi, čiji će glavni grad biti Ljevov. To je na napadu. Tamo se rodio Wilhelm Reich.
Hmm.
Tamo je rođen Wilhelm Reich u tom Lvivu.
Ah.
Kad je to bilo part of the Austria-Hungarian Empire. Anyway.
Da, Ukrajina je bila deo Austrija-Hungary.
Taj deo Ukrajine koji se zove Galicija, inače, je bio deo Austro-Ugarske. To je tačno carstva, odnosno Habsburške monarhije, pa nakon toga Austro-Ugarske. Inače, tu Galiciju su osnovali Jevreji koji su došli iz Španije. To su u stvari Sefardi. Those were the Sephardic Jews who came up from Spain. So they have established that area of Galicia, right? Jednim delom u Poljskoj i drugim delom se nalazi u Ukrajini današnjoj. And the border of the new, between the new Ukrainian state and the occupied territories that have been returned to the frames and borders of the Russian Empire will be going along the basin of the Dnieper river.
Dnieper, yeah, I know that river.
Yeah, so that will be the logical division of the country. So they will probably try out to come to the south of the country and to cut off the large portion of the littoral, namely the sea coast. So they will try to prevent the Ukrainian state to make an outburst on the Black Sea coast.
Even 100 years ago, Ukraine was not a country. It was still a part of Russian Empire. But when Lenin came from Germany, when Germans put him on a train, he created Ukraine. He made Ukraine as one of the republics of Soviet Union.
Oh yeah, exactly. Because that was okay. Vladimir Lenin was a bastard. I'm not saying that he was a motherfucker. I'm pronouncing the word bastard in a way of a mixture between two races or even three of them. His mother was a Mongolian Buryat, or originally she was of the Mongolian Buryat and Uyghur origins, something similar to Sergei Shoigu's, and his father was a Russian Jew.
What about his father?
Yeah, but he was an Ashkenazi. He was a Khazar. So he was a prominent and reputed philosopher, hands down. That's indisputable. But he has done many, bad services to Armenians, as well as, he has created the Azerbaijani state and cutting off at the same time a large portion of the originally Armenian land that has been stretching across 300,000 square miles. And he is responsible for the conflict and the Nagorno-Karabakh that has occurred recently. That is still happening these days. I mean, not now, but it has a tendency to reestablish.
And the Russian Tsar Nicholas III, I think it was Nicholas III or second, should have got rid of Lenin a long time ago. If they got rid of Lenin, like had him executed a long time ago, Russian Revolution would never happen and Soviet Union would never be a country.
Oh yeah, that's true. But the Russian Revolution, meaning the October Revolution, which, as we know, has occurred in November, as we've said, is an offspring and a consequence of the English intelligence service, mostly the MI6. So it's been organized by Englishmen.
Right.
Like the same as the ISIS is. ISIS has been officially arranged and organized by Colonel Hodges, long ago. So,
yeah, and then Lenin's
whenever it's about Islam or the church, it's about the connections and influences of the English intelligence service. Sorry?
Now, Lenin's brother was executed because he tried to, he organized some protests against the Russian government, Russian Empire, imperialist Russian government.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's for sure. And nevertheless, he had died of syphilis. You know, it was a tragic story because during his last minutes, he was exclaiming the names of his mother and father. He was talking "Mama, Tata." He was invoking his parents in a state of a delirium, you know, because it was severely attacked by and injured by the syphilis, you know, this spirochete, you know, the bacteria. Okay, let's just say that.
I did the Maria Osric and
yeah, I just wanna re-mention that NATO actually is a Russian organization. Why? Because the highest prior of the Maltese order is Nikolai II Romanov.
Oh.
And the NATO alliance is solely ran and established by the Maltese Knights. So knowing that esoteric fact and bearing that in mind, we actually understand the things going on more, you know, deeply and much better than anybody else who doesn't know that. So there ain't going to be any outbursts of the assumably, you know, World War III or the alleged situation like that. There ain't going to be. It's a peaceful division, period. Okay, so let's talk about a beautiful woman
role in Hitler's
recognized and known under the name of Maria Osric. Let's make a conclusion for the previous shows.
Yeah.
Well, Maria Osric was born in Vienna. Sorry if I said it was Zagreb. They had managed her in Zagreb, yeah, but she was born officially in Vienna, October 31, 1895. You know, her parents were the young architect, Tomislav Osric, who was having his own office on the square of Ban Jelačić in Zagreb. And her mother was a ballerina and who was working, you know, as an employee in Wiener Staatsoper, you know. So, they met each other. So Tomislav was, I'm speaking for the new visitors to our channel who haven't, you know, watched the previous shows. So Tomislav was often coming to Vienna by business, where he met Sabina and where they got an offspring that they named Maria. So since her earliest stage, Maria was expressing the extraordinary abilities and skills of communicating with ghosts. You know, and there is that author, you know, Maximilien de Lafayette, who's also a prominent author on Amazon, like we are. So we were exchanging the information with each other. He had a heart stroke recently, but he hopefully survived. So he claims that Maria was a psychic medium, you know, a psychic of the first order, you know, and that he claimed that she had extreme intuition and abilities, you know, the telepathical capabilities and telekinesis and telekinetic extraordinary abilities and so on. So as a teenager, she often used to fall in a state of trance to get in the state in which she could write the strange messages on the paper. So she used to claim, and she swore often about that she communicated with the extraterrestrials from the planet of Alpha Centauri, which is located meaning the Taurus, right, which is positioned in the constellation of Aldebaran. So her father, Tomislav, who was an official person from technical profession, was truly fascinated by the drawings that she would often make in a state of trance. So according to her sketches, it was really possible to construct a spacecraft, to make a spaceship, right?
Right.
And therefore he decided to bring those drawings and sketches to the well-known physicist named Winfried Otto Schumann. And that guy Schumann was stunned and amazed by the designs that
So
Maria was doing.
she was basically communicating with ghosts?
No, she was basically, partly on the Terra planet, on the Earth. Yes, certainly yes. Because she was a medium, but the entities that I was talking here about, that she was certainly communicating with, the entities were the inhabitants of Aldebaran. And because that's where she originates from, because she was incarnated on the earth, right?
Yeah.
But her origins and her previous incarnations and her roles were deriving from Aldebaran. So after he saw the sketches and drawings from the 17-year-old Maria, Winfried Otto Schumann had a very well-known and reputed scientist who would not play out with his scientific reputation, for sure. He briefly after that introduced young Maria to his friends from the Tula, the Tula Gesellschaft, all the Tula society. So that is how Maria became the official medium of the society, and Schumann has been allowed to make the prototype of the flying apparatus according to Maria's drawings. So, and I want to tell you that during one of those, of many of the spiritualist, spiritualist sessions, which was attended, also by Rudolf Hess and Karl Haushofer, who were also present there. I mean, the highly ranked Nazis.
Yeah,
Tula Gesellschaft, as well as you know. She claimed at that medium session that the language that the extraterrestrials were sending messages on while conveying the information to her was Sumerian. And that Sumerian language is very important to you and me and the other linguists, because Sumerian language, the ancient Sumerian language, is recognized as the originating tree trunk from which were outbursting the stems like Armenian and Hittite language before, and the Phrygian language, and even certain amount of Persian dialects, and certain Hindi languages. So this is the podcast which covers up mostly two subjects,
history and languages.
So, yeah, the languages are it's a big part. So I just want to point that the Sumerian language has been established there in the land of Sumeria, on the Arabic Peninsula today's, after the intervention and landing of the Anunnaki, because they spoke that language. So they have done their genetical intervention on the human DNA. So the language that they left behind themselves before they went was Sumerian. And it's very interesting because I know some paleolinguists in the US who are able to speak that language, and it sounds almost like a snake is, it's like a snake speaking, it's for the mouth by the mediation of a tongue. So I just want to say here, in a continuation of the story about Maria, that the controversial Ian van Helsing claims that Maria was attending the first inaugural encounter, on behalf of the formal opening of the Vril Society in Vienna that occurred in 1917, the day of the Russian Revolution, by the way.
Also, she was in Vienna when Russian Revolution.
Yeah, she was in Vienna, the capital, and because that was the
Austria-Hungary.
that was the empire having two capitals in that time. Of course, the second was Budapest, where she was sitting in a restaurant during the inauguration, during the show, and she was sitting at the same table with Baron Zebotendorf. He's a very highly ranked esotericist, and also Karl Haushofer and the pilot Lothar Weiss, who was a Khazar as well. That means white in German, and the latest one, namely Lothar Weiss, was the follower and the disciple of the Buddhist order of Tsongkhapa, called the Yellow Caps, and
So what was
and
the
also he
inauguration?
was a friend with one of the members of the secret Templar order ran by the Templar Knights, which was named Templi Marcioni. So it was a logical thing for the society of the members, for the society, which was consisted of the endeavored and zealous worshippers of the Tibetan mysticism and their legends of the underground land of Agartha, to give their society the name Vril, because Vril, according to the esoteric connoisseurs, not the dabblers, of course, was the name for the mysterious energy that is located in the core, in the middle of the planet Earth. So the inhabitants of Shambhala and Agartha, the two inner states inside the core of the Earth, the terra planet, they have that real energy at their disposal. So for those of our listeners who are not familiarized with, as it spells like VRIL. Also, it's worthy of mentioning that the word viral, the things that we're doing right now, we're going viral, we're going off in the ether, has derived also from that word vril. And it's the origins of the world are mysterious, but mostly it's Sanskrit or either Sumerian. So this is the crucial point. So the great subterranean city of Agartha that I just mentioned is located in the underground of our planet, as I said. So the first one who used to write about that was the French mystic Alexandre Saint-Yves, Marquis d'Alvedre. It was a Marquis of Alvedre. The myth of Agartha also says that there are certain spots on our planet which serve as the entrances into the mysterious sacred city, and that the maps of those locations are severely and seriously kept secret of the Tibetan monks, especially preserved by members of the Yellow Caps cult. So, and naturally, it's worthy of mentioning that Tibet is also mentioned as one of the key places for the entrance into the land of Agartha. And why am I saying this to you? because it's very well known to you that the Nazis were overtaking and organizing and arranging the very well known expeditions,
creating their own
towards
army,
Tibet.
basically.
Sorry?
No, they were creating organizing their own army. They wanted to be equip them with more weapons, because after World War I, all Germany was destroyed. Like, their economy was in ruins, and a new republic was organized. And then when Hitler came to power, which was in 1933, June 3rd, 1933, he wanted to rebuild the German or Nazi army at the time.
Oh yeah, but what's worthy of mentioning here as well is that they were organizing the trips, the journeys towards Tibet.
Right.
They went to the Himalayas many times,
Oh, I didn't know that.
There's been encounters, between the Nazis and Tibetan monks. The lamas and the special people who were the keepers of samadhi, and that's a whole other different story. And I will try to, even the Bompo lamas, the highly ranked lamas. So I want to tell you that there is a book called Beasts, He-Mans, and Gods. So it's worthy of mentioning. You can write it down if you want for your further researches.
Yeah. Okay.
It's been published in 1922.
The Beast.
Yeah, Beasts, He-Mans, and Gods. And it's been written by the Polish esoteric writer Ferdynand Ossendowski.
Ferdinand.
Ossendowski.
Yeah.
I will send you his picture, no problem, and the
Cool.
front cover of the book.
Great.
I have it in Polish and English as well. I have it in German too.
Good.
So he had, in that book, it's worthy of mentioning, because in that book he had described a visit to the Agartha, the subterranean kingdom erected and devoted to the spiritual prosperity of the whole civilization on the planet, and its impact on the old religions upon the surface of the earth. So on the earth's surface, the one who is directly connected to the Agartha as the so-called king, the so-called king of the world, has been met and recognized by Ossendowski as a Tibetan Lama. And I just want to say to you that there is a book entitled the same, the book which carries the same title, namely The King of the World.
Kraj
Sorry?
Kraj Svet.
Kralj Sveta, tako je, that's right.
Now, what was
yeah. So it's been written by the French esotericist and mystical writer René Guénon. So he's the spiritual teacher of Alexander Dugin, Russian conspirologist.
Now, what was Maria Osric doing in Budapest? Because I know you told me he was in Budapest, like in a restaurant, and then he was in. There was a dance going on, like in another.
No, I will just tell you, but I will tell you. I will continue with that with pleasure, my friend. But I just want to tell you, in order to make the whole picture much clearer to our audience, I just want to say a few words more about the underground city of Shambhala, meaning the kingdom, because in that book, Ossendowski wrote that in the underground kingdom, the city of Agartha, as its capital, is illuminated by the shining, brightening light, which is the product of the real energy. And let's not forget that Maria is considered the founder of the society which bears the name, which is bearing the name Vril, right? So the real energy is shining, from the Agartha city. So let's make it. It's crucial because Maria is its founder. So what is the definition of Vril? vril as a form of a strange geo energy, which is produced and generated by the planet Earth itself, by the rotation of the Earth, all right?
Mhm.
By the mediation of a strong magnetic field between the two poles, meaning the North and South Pole. And as a matter of fact, this form of a powerful energy is totally free. It's renewable, it's sustainable and pure. Something similar to Tesla's concept of free
Now,
energy.
Tesla, he created this flying saucer, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, we will come up to that. We will come up to that soon, because we will see that in fact those flying saucers, meaning die Jenseitsflugmaschinen, which is like it's called in the German original, those were using the real energy and the ether as their fuel.
Mm-hmm.
So inside the real society, after she entered in it, Maria Osric has been joined by 4 female friends who were having the same or very similar telepathic abilities. Namely, those were the German women Traute, Gudrun, Sigrun, and Heike. And it's not known much about these girls. I can present. I can give you the picture of those 4 girls if you want to include this, in the show, in order to make a presentation to our audience, if you want.
Oh,
I mean, would you like to?
Oh yeah, the 4 girls. Like who are they?
Yeah. Well, I'm sending you the image of those 4 girls. So those girls were highly esoterically,
Let me see.
builded, very highly esoterically educated, and just give me 1 second. And okay, here we go.
Okay.
We have there is the chat box over here.
Okay.
So I'm sending you
Cool.
the image, the picture of
Great.
no problem. It cannot be done.
Yeah, there's no
because it's
chat
a
box,
different.
assumes.
Yeah, no, it's a different. It's a different.
Yeah.
It's a different format.
Mhm.
Okay, but just let me tell you a few things. You asked me who those girls were.
Yeah.
No, so Maria, Traute, Sigrun, Gudrun, and Heike. Well, for example, Heike Lehmann was born in 1903 somewhere in Central Europe, most probably the Czech Republic or Hungary. And she was an expert in sexual magic. She was using the orgasmic force during the utmost powerful moment and strength of the climax during sexual act in order to achieve her goals, and later on when she entered into the real, she was using orgasm and its power and the sperm and blood in order to achieve their goals, So in the first quarter of the 19th century, Austria and Bavaria were the battlefield of warfare and dealing between the various kinds of secret societies, among which were also present the practitioners of sexual magic. So you've heard about Aleister Crowley for sure, right?
No.
Are you familiar with that? Oh, okay, no problem. That's for another show. But I want to tell you that the famous magical order of Otto, OTO.
Yeah, I know that name.
Yeah, which means the acronymus for Ordo Templi Orientis. The order of the Eastern Temple, which has been founded by Karl Kellner, Franz Hartmann, and Theodor Reuss, So this order was also using the sexual magic in order to communicate with the higher cosmic forces.
Okay.
So Maria's female friend Heike was surely initiated in magical rituals of the Otto group, which she has had where she has had an opportunity to learn a lot about the mysterious sexual energy called the Kundalini Shakti. So that derives from Sanskrit. Kundalini is the energy which is basically surrounding the spinal cord, the spine.
Yeah, for your back.
The spine is located over here,
the way
and it corresponds with the umbilical, chakra, on the opposite side. So if we observe the spine, the human spine, the backbone, kichma, as a tree trunk, if we acknowledge the fact that Kundalini is sneaking and circulating around it like a serpent, like a snake, then we, by the way, and nevertheless, can recognize the origins about the tree of life and the tree of knowledge mentioned in the Judeo-Christian Bible, and the snake around it as Lucifer, right? Was later been defined as Lucifer. So there is the Orphic cult called the Ophites, which means a snake in Greek, right? And the members of that cult, they worship the snake as a symbol of wisdom. Because that's where it is. So, okay, so so Heike and Maria were also learning, and they were getting into knowing the Tantra yoga, which I was practicing myself as well, and the rituals of the left-hand path, which later has been described and developed by Aleister Crowley and Kenneth Grant and Osman Speer, and the Israel Regardier and many other connoisseurs of the left-hand path. I'm speaking about the serious ones. So let me tell you more about the rest of the family, the girls. Now, Gudrun Reinhardt, for example, she was born in Bavaria in 1901. So 1901, the very beginning of the century. So Maria, the other powerful medium, was the girl known exclusively under the name of Sigrun, which has been taken from the Nordic mythology. According to which mythology, Sigrun was a Valkyrie, Valkyria, and one of the daughters of Wotan,
No.
And you have that myth described in, and in the tetralogy of Richard Wagner's, operas, Die Rheingold, Lohengrin, Parzival, die Götterdämmerung, and so on. So I've just mentioned the huge influence of Richard Wagner, on Hitler and the highly ranked and positioned Nazi officers, although it didn't have nothing in common with the Nazis and the later occurred, but the music was pagan. That was the music of the new fresh blood. That was the music of the which was representing the epitome of the German free Christian spirit. It was having its liturgic character, So that was the reason why Hitler was, deeply, profoundly shaked by the opera. When he went to see, Parsifal for the first time, he was and he was shocked. He was talking only about that within a couple of further weeks. And I know that you're very much into the topic of Hitler, because he is a fascinating personality, because it's deeply involved with the spear of destiny.
Not only
the
that,
Heilige Lanze, the Heilige Lanze, and there is a book entitled the same, which has been written by Trevor Ravenscroft, who's been in Algeria in the concentration camp and the captivity. So later on, he wrote the book.
Right.
But let me tell you more about Zigrun.
So Maria.
So yeah, just want to tell you, her real name was Sigrun von Enstetten. Sigrun von Enstetten, and she was a daughter of a Prussian officer. She was a female pilot. So Traute was born in Austria, but she was living in Monaco, the former monastic state, at the south of France. So at the year of 1919, in the city of Monaco, that was the place and time where Maria Osric and Traute, had met each other. And in that time, Traute was a student of mathematics and physics. She studied the maths and physics, of course. So later on, she was able to, apply her knowledge. And her professor at that time was the same Winfried Otto Schumann, the same professor who was the member of the Tula Society. The guy who was introduced to Maria's drawings and sketches. So those girls, Maria, Traute, Gudrun, Sigrun, and Heike were known as real girls. They were carrying their hair, in the form of a ponytail,
Yeah, I know.
The tied hair, and were incredibly beautiful. Those girls were the epitome of females' beauty of that time. Some were red-haired, some were blondes, but those women were really sexually strong and having strong sexual boost. Okay. So in fact, for them, the horsetail was representing a cosmic antenna, right, which they were using to receive the messages. By the mediation of that, directly from the space, from the extraterrestrial beings, and this is what our book is telling about. Yeah. So the four of those extremely attractive and seductive girls, who were the members of the secret order, were obliged to have the sexual intercourses with potent male members of the society.
So those girls were basically having sexual intercourses with males? Exactly,
the same members of the society whom they shared the same passion for the occult rituals with. So they believed which is a belief very similar to the ideas of the genius psychiatrist Volkan Reich, who was born in Lviv, the future Ukrainian capital.
Yeah, so basically, like sexual behavior is had some type of connection with the occult they were practicing.
Oh yeah, because they were growing the same belief with sharing the same belief with Volkan Reich, the psychiatrist and the genius, and that belief was that the orgasm simply releases the mysterious real force during the climax, the pinnacle of the orgasm, the real force which exists in the space and in the interior of the planet Earth, as we've said, but also in man himself. We also have that vril energy, and that's the Kundalini energy. So when a male, produces and releases the sperm during the ejaculation, during the orgasm. That's the moment of the outburst of the real energy, because the sperm and blood are the most potent elements, the chemical substances for any magical act, because they contain the living force and the DNA, and we will talk about that later, of course, if you want. So
so
Maria, I just want to say that Maria was a blonde, with the severe, steel.
Also, she was an Aryan, basically.
Blue eyes. Sorry.
So she was an Aryan, basically.
She was an Aryan, but the point of the conversation all the time is that she was originally deriving from the Aldebaran stellar system. Now later on explain how far approximately is that system from the Earth. And because she had a duty to incarnate on the Earth in order to accomplish the tasks, to play her role in the evolution and in history. So being a blonde hair with steely blue eyes, Maria seemed like a perfect member of the Aryan race, as you just said. And that was one of the main reasons, namely, that was the main reason why the Nazi leaders adored her. They were worshiping her.
Like a goddess.
I want to share with you the information that Himmler, Heinrich Himmler,
the leader of the SS.
He didn't like her. He didn't like Maria. He hated Maria. He used to call her the bloody witch, die verdammte Hex. He hated her. He couldn't bear her. I think he would certainly kill her if he could. But she was mightier than him. So it seemed that she was looking at something like a perfect prototype of a woman, which has been the model and the imagination of Lance von Lebenfels. In his active daydreams, very sexually boosted, the mental images and projections, and in which projections he, mentally compounded, and conceived his lunacy of a project, meaning the Lebensborn project. And what was the Lebensborn? Lebensborn project, it was, I will tell you that in his pornographic occult visions, Lenz von Liebenfels was imagining the dream girls. He was, having the eidetic, images of the dream girls of great sexual seduction and voltage, with big breasts, and who are capable to give birth to healthy Aryan offspring.
So why did Himmler hate Osric? Well, because she was an Aryan, or why did Himmler hate him?
Orsic.
Yeah.
Orsic.
Hate her, yeah.
Why he was adoring her? Why he was supporting her? What was the question?
No, Himmler.
Oh, Himmler.
The SS. Yeah.
Yeah, but because Himmler was deeply hating Maria Osric because she was a concurrence. It's logical. He hated her because his female part, namely his anima, could not stand Maria and his vicinity because she was much stronger, and she was, the connoisseur and holder of incomparably much more immense kind of a magic than him. He was just killing people. Although he was having a large occult library, many occultists would certainly envy him on the occult library that was in his possession, but nevertheless, she was incomparably much powerful and immense, and magically speaking. So I just want to tell you. Yep.
Now, so
Yeah,
Hitler.
go ahead.
So Hitler liked Osric because she was an Aryan, because she had blonde hair and blue eyes.
Yeah, and not only because of that, but because of the fact that she was a great connoisseur of the occult and esoteric practices, although she was pretty young. And and she was induced to the secret societies, and he mostly loved her, respected her because of her telepathic and mental abilities, because she was a real psychic. She was a real psychic.
Now, let's talk
something
about
similar to Nina Kulagina in Russia, in the Soviet Union, or to Tesla's brother Daniel. I just want to tell you that all members of the SS movement were necessarily included into the Lebensborn sexual project of the Nazis. The German women and men were with a clean genetic past, with no spots on their genetic image, were having the only one and the same task: to give birth to the new children, to the new Nazi offspring as much as they can. All right, to produce the new Germans. So there is, I want to expand the subject by saying that there is a book called The Godless Pact. And it's Peter Levanda that is the author of the book, and he says in that book, he says that Lebensborn was actually a sort of an occult brothel, an occult brothel, and that the females who were chosen on the base of the racial purity, as well as according to their loyalty and membership to the Teutonic ideal of female sensuality, were getting fertilized by their potential sexual, and potent sexual male mates and couples from the SS. So Lebensborn was in fact some kind of a farm where a lot of blue-eyed and blonde-haired children were born in order to later be consciously grown up according to the principle of the free children of Summerhill. You'll later find out that there is a book which has been written by Alexander Sutherland Neill, the American psychiatrist and psychologist, and it's called The Free Children of Summerhill. So that's a Summerhill. So he kind of had described a similar project in that book. So
the development of the nuclear weapon, or you want to continue talking about Maria?
No, because you've knocked me off the hook. It's an extremely important thing to say, to clean up the whole concept, but of the relationship between Maria and the
Nazi regime,
the highest ranked Nazi, generals and officers, because the Lebensborn was much rather conceived as some kind of a spiritual community, which was built up with purpose of genetic renaissance of German nation, and germination was ideologically based on the racial ideas of Lance von Lebenfels, Houston Stewart Chamberlain, and Alfred Rosenberg, who came from Russia. He was a Russian Khazar, Ashkenazi. You're certainly familiar with that name of Rosenberg. So it is certain to me that also Maria Osric and 4 of her seductive female, girlfriends were very well introduced into, and they were very good connoisseurs of such like theories, like Lebensborn was. So, however, the field of sexuality was not the only subject that they were interested in. It was also magic, And just let me conclude with the story of Brill, girls It's kind of the movie The Dream Girls, right?
No.
Okay, it speaks about different subject about the Tamla Motown, but this movie that we're making about these girls is called The Vril Girls, not The Dream Girls, but The Vril Girls. So the story of real girls in the Nazi prototypes of flying saucers, die Jenseitsflugmaschinen, has